Bracketology presented by Dave Campbell's Texas Football, breaking down the 2020 UIL Texas High School Football Playoff brackets. I'm Greg Tepper, and this is 2A Division I. A lot of fun in this bracket, and all the focus, I think, is going to be on one particular region. We'll get there at the back half of this preview, but I do think that this bracket has a chance to be really fun. And there's a lot of teams that, if they get hot at the right time, they have a chance to make a very, very deep run, potentially all the way to AT&T Stadium. So a lot of depth here in 2A Division I. Let's start with Region 1, where actions have consequences, right? Let's talk about San Saba losing in Week 11 to Cisco, because that is a super, super important position, because Cisco gets sent here, down here at the bottom half of the bracket, while San Saba has to deal with what I think is the very dirty side of the region. This is a very tough region here that they got put into, because you're dealing with, in my opinion, the favorites come out of Region 1 in post. Right here, they got an interesting first-round matchup against West Texas, but I think they'll be favored there. Meanwhile, San Saba's going to have to go through Forsan, not a pushover in the Buffaloes, and then they're probably going to play Panhandle. If you haven't seen Panhandle, Panhandle is wild. Panhandle will just score on you. They are a high-powered offense, and so as a result, you've got San Saba, you've got Panhandle, you've got Post. I think Post, as a result, has the nice, easy, not easy, but they've got the more manageable path to a regional semifinal, where they would say either San Saba or Panhandle. Down here, for Cisco, your actions have consequences in a good way. Okay, Cisco is probably going to be a favorite over Stanford. Then they take on either Olton or New Deal. I think New Deal is going to be a slight favorite in that one. But Cisco will be a favorite, I think, make it all the way to a regional final, although Hawley and Sundown, to me, represent the two biggest challenges. Make no mistake, for me, I think Post is the favorite here, but you've got enough landmines here in San Saba, in Panhandle, who just plays wild, in Anson, who I think is really interesting, in Hawley, who runs the ball exceptionally well, in Cisco, who's playing great defense right now. This is a really interesting bracket that, in region that I think Post, again, is at the top of, but all it takes is one. All it takes is one, and one bad game from Post, and suddenly things get blown up out of proportion in Region 1. Let's go to Region 2. In Region 2, this is a region where I'm not sure there's one overwhelming favorite, but I think there are a couple teams that have my eye. One is Lindsay, the champions of District 5. They've got an outstanding senior quarterback, junior quarterback? Colt Shuckers, I think he's a junior. He's unbelievable at the quarterback spot for Lindsay. I think that he gives the Knights a great chance to make it all the way to a regional semifinal and beyond, where they may see a team like Bosqueville, they may see a team like Cupper. I think that team has been excellent all year long. The bottom half of the bracket is a little bit more interesting. Crawford has been exceptional. Even with a new coaching staff, they have really figured things out and been great. They could have a second-round matchup against either Rivercrest or Collinsville, who provide really interesting challenges in different ways. Italy is an interesting squad. The District 8 champion, I think, is a team that's flown under people's radar, but they are playing very well with a really interesting test against Rio Vista in round 1. They could see Alvord in the second round. This is a region that I think is careening towards a Crawford versus Lindsay regional final, but enough teams here with enough quality to make things interesting. Let's go over to Region 3 now, where one of the interesting things about this bracket is the whole structure of Region 3 got entirely shaken up because there's one team that's not here. This is a region about who's not here, and that is St. Augustine. St. Augustine, of course, I think they've won 3 of the last 5 Region 3 championships. I mean, they have been an absolute juggernaut, had a difficult year this year, missed the playoffs. That opens up a ton of variety and a ton of teams that could take advantage of it. Let's talk about some of the real Cinderella stories of this year. Let's talk about the Timpson Bears. Let's talk about how Kerry Thurwanger has turned this team around and turned them into an absolute juggernaut. They have been unbelievable. Let's talk about the Joaquin Rams, whose only loss in the year is to the aforementioned Timpson. That is a team to keep an eye on. Let's talk about Norman G, who finished the year undefeated. Right? They have been exceptional down there in the Brazos Valley. Let's talk about Hearn. Coach Ricky Sargent's done an unbelievable job with the Eagles. This is a really, really fun region now, suddenly without that kind of big looming presence of St. Augustine. So where do you go? We didn't even mention Hawkins, who had an unbelievable undefeated season, who has a first-round matchup with a tough Garrison squad. Holland, I think, is going to be tough to beat. Centerville is a team to keep an eye on. This is and I didn't even mention this matchup. Jewett Leon and Thorndale is one of the best first-round matchups in the state at any level. Price Carlisle is dangerous. I look up and down here, and without St. Augustine, without that kind of looming presence of the juggernaut in Region 3, Suddenly it's wide open. It's anybody's region. And this is going to be, to me, if you only pay attention to one region in the smaller classification brackets, make it Region 3 of 2A Division 1, because it is going to be insane. Let's go to Region 4 now, where I think it's a little bit less insane, because I think you've got two teams that have risen to the top and are careening on a collision course in the regional final. And that would be, of course, the number one team in the state, the Shiner Comanches, up here at the very top of the bracket. And then at the top of the bottom half of the region, you have Refugio. The Bobcats, of course, they have played, last year they played in a regional final. Refugio with a wild comeback, and Shiner's not forgotten that. Shiner's not forgotten that, and I think that they're hungry for that. Now, can they get out of here? They would have to make it through I would say the tougher part maybe of the bracket. I think Mason maybe is not the Mason of old, but they have figured things out as the season has gone on. But I think Shiner's the favorite to come out of the top half of the bracket. For Refugio, I think second round could provide some trouble. Okay? Because you're talking about Ozona or Flatonia, two really, really dangerous squads. I think Flatonia is a very dangerous 3 seed coming out here. And if they get to a regional semifinal, they would probably see a team like Ganado. So overall, it's not, I would say Refugio got the tougher draw here, but I think it's Shiner, Refugio going at it for a spot in the regional, in the state semifinal. So when you take a look overall at 2A Division 1, I think you've got a variety of different fun regions. Region 1. Who knows, right? And Post is probably the favorite, but they got to go through a tough part of the region, and then they'd probably see a team like Cisco in the regional final. Region 2, who knows, right? Lindsay, Crawford. Is there another team that can make a run? Could a team like Italy get hot? I mean, you don't really know. Region 3, as we talked about, so many different contenders here because there's not that one looming threat of the inevitability of St. Augustine. And then Region 4, I think we're all just kind of waiting for Shiner versus Refugio. That may, in fact, be the de facto state championship game. Those might be the two best teams in the state. Look, 2A Division 1 is going to be a lot of fun. It's always a lot of fun, but this year in particular, with the new dynamics that realignment has given us, this is going to be a fun region to watch, and we are going to have you completely covered at TexasFootball.com.